Hello, everyone. Just kind of waiting for folks to pile into the room here, getting all set to get ready for our exciting Zoom this evening. I hope that you guys are ready to talk about terrariums and living ornaments. Super excited to have Jen Strobel back with us this evening. Sorry about the reschedule from last week, but Jen had and is still fighting a little bit of a cold/cough. So she is home, tucked away safely in her own personal space, drinking tea and getting better. So you're gonna have to listen to me a lot tonight so that she doesn't lose her voice or anything like that. But again, super excited to have her here this evening. We're gonna try to be as interactive as possible so that you guys can kind of decide some of the material that she uses in the terrarium. So listen out for information about how to raise your hand and help us decide how to put together some of these terrariums. It should be pretty fun. Coming up after this evening, we've got Healthy Soil for a Healthy Garden is coming up on January 8th at 10. That'll be Charlotte from Oh Wow, Our Water, Our World, a really, really interesting and great organization. And then on January 12th, we have another member of Our Water, Our World joining us, Suzanne Bontempo, who's done a lot of webinars and presentations and stuff for us before, online and in the store. So if you haven't seen one of those, you definitely want to try to catch her. She's going to be talking about eco-friendly disease management. So super important for as we're moving through the winter, how to protect your garden and stuff through the winter as we're getting prepared for spring. January 15th at 10 a.m., Seed Starting 101. Dan Alexander is going to be back giving us some info on how to get, seeds started to get ready for the spring. And then aren't you guys lucky? Shannon Fitzpatrick, that's me. I'm going to be doing What to Do in Your Garden this month on January 19th. And just kind of talking about how to start getting things ready so that your spring planting is as exceptional as we want it to be for you. And then January 22nd, how to make seed balls. This one is really cool. It's Ashley is going to be joining us, and she is going to be teaching us how to make seed balls so that we can then turn around and teach them to our kids and friends and neighbors and family and stuff like that. So that should be a really cool one. And then to round out January, an introduction to fruit tree pruning on January 29th at 5. Elizabeth Ruiz will be back with us. If you guys haven't done a webinar with Elizabeth, you are missing out. She is a wealth of information, super fun, and knows a lot about just the health of our trees. She did a really cool one on Japanese maples. She's done others on fruit trees. So exciting, exciting stuff coming up. So in terms of this evening, again, most of you should have the outline. If you don't have it, go back to your email. It should be attached there with your Zoom invitation, but if not, you can find it on Sloat's website at sloatgardens.com. It's under the What's Happening tab, and then there's a webinar link there that you can find, and all of the outlines are listed there. So definitely follow along with Jen as she gets us ready to put these terrariums together and help us to create some living ornaments, which is super exciting. I didn't even introduce myself. I'm Shannon Fitzpatrick from the Pleasant Hill store. Also do some East Bay events outreach and still learning Zoom webinar helper and mediator. Okay. So Jen is with us. We're going to move into that. If you have any questions or anything, like I said, raise your hand. You can always chat. There she is. Yay, with all the goodies. And Jen, take it away.
Hey, thanks, Shannon. I'm really glad that you're here and you're going to help me talk tonight. Sorry, everybody, about the reschedule. I got a really bad head cold and cough. So I have my honey lemon tea and a cough drop, and we're going to try to do this. Anyway, I love terrariums. I love planting terrariums. I'm really happy to talk about them. I just kind of want to dive in. I'm thinking this will probably last about a half hour, and I want to try to cover as much as possible. So the one thing that I like about terrariums is that it's different from other container design because the entire container is part of your design. You see the entire thing. You see all around, all the sides, everything. And so this, I think, is really interesting in terms of your approach, because you also are taking account the sides of the container as well as what you're putting in it. And so this is a fun opportunity to add color and various layers of gravel, different colored gravel, sand, moss, if you don't want to see the soil and whatnot. Like I said, it's just fun to sort of play around with those things. One thing, the biggest decision when making a terrarium is if you're going to do an open terrarium or a closed terrarium, because that is going to basically determine what plants you can or cannot use. So you can basically use everything in an open air terrarium, and open air just basically means just that. It doesn't have a top to it. There's some airflow in it and whatnot. So it could be like a vase or like an ornament like that. Or in a closed terrarium would be something more like a cloche, like this, or you know, a jar if you're doing little mason jar terrariums and whatnot. So something that has a lid to it is closed top terrarium. In a closed top terrarium, you really can only do like foliage plants, greens, you know, just ferns and, you know, indoor greens and stuff in the closed top. The succulents will rot out. And the air plants most likely would rot out too if given enough time. So really, if you're doing a closed top, you want to stay with the foliage greens.
So why is that then that that foliage seems to do better, or seems to at least be tough enough to last through not having any of that airflow, where succulents, you know, struggle with that? What's the difference about them, you think?
Well, yeah, so a lot of the foliage, I mean, like these are both like ferns. They naturally grow in moist environments under you
So it's
know,
more moisture, really.
yeah.
Okay.
No, it's definitely the moisture factor, 100%.
Okay.
I mean, you can, if you really are set on a closed top terrarium with succulents and stuff, as long as you can commit to taking the top off like every day
Right.
or every other day or something,
Right.
you can get around it that way. But the moisture is what rots them out completely.
Sure. Yeah.
I have a lot to talk about with maintenance and stuff like that, but I thought that I would dive in pretty quick into creating the terrarium, because I think that people want to see that first, and then more questions will come from that.
Perfect.
And I thought what would be fun is to give you it all, like Shannon said, I want it to be more interactive. So give you all an option for what you want to see me plant. So the three options would be a succulent container, a tillandsia container, which are the air plants,
Right.
or a foliage container. So if you want a succulent container, raise your little hand on the Zoom.
Yeah, down at the bottom of your screen there's a little link for raising hands. So I don't see anybody down for the succulents, Jen.
I see six. I think it's 8. Okay, 8.
Okay.
You don't see that on yours?
I do not see it on mine, but that's fine, as long as you can see it.
Okay. So 8 succulents. Who wants to see a tillandsia container? Raise your hand.
Oh, I'm gonna raise my hand too.
Okay. Also 8. Oh, this is gonna be challenging. Okay.
Oh, I'm excited.
Okay, who wants to see a foliage container? Ah. Okay, okay. One person tipped it over. 9 people want to see foliage.
Oh,
So here's the thing. I'll do foliage quick, but then I will also do a succulent tillandsia thing. Okay, so we'll cover it. But I'm really glad to do the foliage thing because I wanted to show you this really fun thing that you can do. So I'm going to do a closed top terrarium with the foliage, and I'm going to bring you in closer so you can just see my hands. Okay. All right. So you see it okay?
yep, it looks good.
Okay. Oh yeah, okay. So the first layer, no matter what you're doing, you want to use charcoal. And we sell it in a bag like this. And you don't need a ton of charcoal, but you can't over charcoal. So if you like this as a design layer, you can put in 1 inch or whatever of charcoal, but you only need a little bit, like just a couple pieces. And what that does is it helps neutralize the water, the standing water in your terrarium, so it doesn't smell weird. And then pick out a layer of stone. And like I said, this is a chance to add a certain color or whatever design element. Use this. Excuse me. Just like that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a moss ball. So I'm going to take this, it's called Selaginella.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you're like gonna make a moss ball, make a moss ball.
Yep.
All right, Jen, let's go.
So this is kind of like Victorian style with Victorian moss balls. And I think it's a really cute look for the cloches. So I literally just take the plant out
Mm-hmm.
and set it in the moss,
Uh-huh.
and wrap it around like that. And then I take twine. So this is kind of like cocodama or cocodama.
I was just gonna ask you about that. I think I vote for one of those classes sometime soon.
Yeah, we'll do it.
Okay.
Okay. So then you just wrap it around a bunch of times.
Okay. Uh-oh, you snagged the Selaginella.
I did?
There you go.
Okay. So again, this doesn't have to be like super, extravagant or detailed. I actually think the simplicity sometimes is like what can be really beautiful about the terrarium.
Right.
And then just
You make it look so easy. How is that possible?
because it doesn't. Well, and also I've done literally, I think somewhere around 50 billion of these things in my life. So
Okay.
okay. And then just set that. Like, how cute is that?
Right. Look at that. 5 minutes.
It's so cute. Yeah, and it's super simple. And
Right.
this actually will do really well in the closed cloche.
Right.
So that, any questions on this before I do the other one?
Well, I have a question. We'll see if anybody else has a question. But so
Okay.
when you water such a thing, are you going to dip the whole moss ball and, root of the Selaginella in water? Is that something that you soak, or because it's a terrarium and how we normally water them is with the spray mister, does that make more sense?
You probably won't need to soak it really that much because this is like its own little, let me spray it. This is like its own little rainforest. I mean, the water will evaporate and condense and rain down and whatnot, all within the system here.
Right.
And so it keeps the plant hydrated
Okay.
like that.
So if
And
you are spraying then, which is obviously not as much water, how often would you say makes sense to water it? I mean, and giving it that nice all over like you were just doing.
mhm. I literally have one that has a Selaginella in it and a couple other plants. I think maybe I put water in it once or twice a year. I'm not it's like no, yeah. So it's like I said, it's its own living, breathing thing that's
Wow.
happening. You could, I mean, you can, just kind of like pour a little bit at the
Oh,
bottom for
look
it
at
to like
that.
suck it up. Yeah.
Right. But the whole point is that not to do so much so that it's constantly wet and then rots out.
Yeah, well, the closed top ones will be pretty consistently wet, and that's why it's important to really choose the right plants.
Got it.
And then if it does feel like the one that I have that I water once or twice a year, if it does feel too moist every once in a while, I'll just take the top off and let it breathe for a couple hours.
Right, right.
But otherwise it's just perfectly happy how it is. Pretty neat.
And so if it's a Selaginella or if it's something else, because foliage is such a vast, group there. And because Selaginella acts like a fern, I mean, does it make more sense to choose something like that? I mean, and then is this going to grow, or is it now suspended in terrarium land?
No, it'll definitely grow. And then you just trim it back. And then
Okay.
as for what type of plants to use, I mean, uh I did one in my son's kindergarten class, and we used mondo grass
Oh,
in little mason jars,
right.
and that thing, I didn't open it for, I want to say 5 years at least, and it was just
Really?
living its little life in the jar. Yeah, it was
Really?
fine.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so you think
So
that pouring the water in there is probably better than using the spray, or it's just preference?
yeah, I think either way it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Really glad we did foliage. You're right.
Ah!
That's amazing.
Okay, so let me do a succulent one. Which do you like, a certain jar? Let me see, like that one, that one,
Um, I like the one in your right hand.
this one?
Yes. Although that pyramid thing in the front though, that has my name on it. So do something with that.
Okay. Okay. Let's clear this all out. Okay. So again, we'll put in the charcoal. And I do want to show you just really quick, if you're doing, I wouldn't necessarily recommend this for a succulent arrangement just because it will retain more moisture. But if you're doing a foliage arrangement in an open air container,
Mhm.
you can you can line the container with moss.
Oh,
And I'll show you. So then you don't, because some people don't want to see the soil.
right.
And so you can just like literally, you would just like take the moss and
Ah,
just lay it around on the inside, so then you
right.
just see that, and
Okay.
then you'll fill in the inside with the soil.
Wow. Okay. Does that one count as an open air, even though it technically, anything with an opening is open air? Because you have that other one that has that little baby hole in the back.
This one,
Yes, that
yeah,
one. Okay.
that's also, yeah, anything that has a hole is open air.
At all. Okay. All right. Perfect.
And then also, I didn't mention this before, but make sure that you use the appropriate soil for whatever you're using. So if you're doing cactus and succulent, make sure you use cactus and succulent mix.
Right.
And if you're doing foliage, then use a potting soil. I mean, I didn't in that moss ball because the plant already had soil
Got it.
around it.
Right.
I could have added some in the ball, but I just was, kind of showing you the principle of it.
Sure.
But with that one, I could have added potting soil, just
Got it.
regular potting soil.
Okay.
And all
Do you
right,
think
so
for something that's that 2-inch size that it's necessary to add soil, or do you think that it's for the size that it was, that it'll be fine with that amount of soil around it?
I think that one will be fine. The moss ends up, the moss can sort of break down and become a soil like
Right.
thing, and so, and the roots will grab onto that.
Right.
So I
That
think
should,
that's fine for now. Yeah, and then you can just reassess it. That's also that system. That whole thing is the closed top is really
right.
good for carnivorous plants.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Totally could do carnivorous plants in closed top terrariums, and people are always like, well, don't the carnivorous plants need to
Right.
eat bugs?
Right.
They actually produce more carnivorous properties if they're
Okay.
not being fed.
Okay.
So they'll have bigger carnivorous leaves, they'll produce more and stuff like that. And they do get nutrients from the soil.
Okay.
So, okay.
So that means that I don't have to like save all the dead flies and whatnot
Oh,
around.
you can.
I can. Okay. I was like thinking that would be a good source for, composting, right?
You can, yeah, you can with a little tweezer or something feed
Yes.
your plants
Yes.
every once in a while for sure.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay, so I'm gonna let me see. I'm gonna show you a different, see if you can see the soil layer better. So with succulents, a lot of times I'll just use sand,
Okay.
because I like the look. It just feels like succulents is a bit more of a beachy vibe.
Sure.
And so, oh, sorry.
There we go.
And so I'll put in sand. Where's my sand?
That wasn't very much charcoal that you put in there. Is it just?
Right? No,
It
it's
goes
not.
a long way, really. It's not even a full layer.
No, you don't need a full layer. It's like a tablespoon or something. I don't even know how to
Wow.
describe it, but it's just a few
Okay.
pieces. You don't need a ton. It's just that helps neutralize the standing water.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna pour in the sand. And I'm gonna kind of push the sand to the edges.
Okay.
So see how there's like a dip in the center?
Right. Right.
Okay, so I'm gonna get my succulent mix. And I'm just gonna put a little bit inside of there.
I really wish
In
that
the dip.
those holes were a little bit bigger. You need like miniature hands to fill some of those.
Well, there are tools. Some stores have
Yes,
tools
we
like,
have them. It's
yeah.
funny that the tools seem almost too small and then your hand seems too big.
I know, I know.
We need to make a line of terrarium building tools, Jen.
Yeah. Or like maybe that has like adjustable or something.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, so I have some plants that I got at the store that are in soil.
Okay,
And so we can just take this. Um, you know, you can think of the terrarium like a little mini world,
right,
which is fun if you are doing this with kids because it's almost like a fairy garden. This is the same thing that I do when I do fairy gardens. So
right.
so you can, even in something like this, you can think of like, do you want a little path, or do
Right.
you want like a little log for like a
Mhm.
ferry to sit on,
Right.
or
Yeah,
whatever. Like you can paint a story
yeah.
basically. So this, I'm just gonna put in. I don't at all worry about scrunching the roots or anything because we're not trying to encourage the plants to grow any faster. So I
Okay.
just kind of like put it in. And then you can also go around in your garden and take clippings. So I just took some clippings. These will all root.
Right.
So you can just, this is nice because it's like smaller pieces that you can just like fit in, you know.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
The little pieces that you've been propagating and sitting around, maybe it's time to terrarize or terrariumize them.
Totally. Let's see. And like these kind of, these type of succulents, these
Right?
little hens and chicks,
Yep.
these are great because you can just pop
Oh
off
my
these
gosh.
guys.
Okay.
And they're cute that you can just fit them in, they're just easy to just sort of fit around the terrarium.
Do you have to be, so you're still pushing the root down into the dirt as much as possible?
For
Or the
sure. Yeah.
stem, sure. Yes, okay.
Um, and also, think about how you want to personalize these
Right.
because that's what makes it fun. And so, for example, you can go, I went around in my garden right before the class and just like even just pieces of oak with moss on it and
Right.
stuff.
Right.
Super, super cute. Super cute to put in there. Or like if you have sand dollars or shells
Right.
or crystals.
That's cool.
When I used to do this with my son when he was little, he would put a little Lego clone trooper inside the terrarium, So I was like,
Yes.
you can really, I think that's what makes it fun, is to
Sure.
personalize it.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna like go ahead, I'm gonna put in a little bit more soil just to fill it in. And then cover it up. And this is like basically when you go to cover up, it's just there's no really pretty way to do
Right.
it. You
Now,
just
see,
kind
for
of,
that, the tools that we have at Sloat would be perfect. You need one of those little shovel rake.
I think so, or like a big spoon maybe,
Yes.
and just kind of work it around, fit it
Right.
in. Yeah. And then I'm gonna add. Okay, how well can you see that? Okay, you can see it.
Really well.
Okay. So I am gonna add one of these little wood pieces. So,
That's great.
and then I think we need some air plants.
Yes, we do.
So the thing about the air plants is just be sure. So the air plants you can use either in a foliage design or in a succulent design, but
Yeah.
they're air plants, so they don't want to be touching any soil.
Sure.
So if you have a foliage design, have some gravel or
Right.
something over
Right.
top of it that you set the air plant on, so it's not making that direct contact.
Okay. Is it okay if it's on like the moss, or the moss is
No,
okay? No? Okay.
no, the moss can retain too much moisture too,
Okay.
unfortunately.
We had a good idea from one of our participants about using like old forks and spoons on like a dowel for our tools.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's a great
Yes.
idea.
Yes. Gloria, I think that's a good retirement plan for all
Yeah.
of us. We're going to create that.
Yeah, we're all trying to think of like, how could we make this easier?
Yes, I know. And I mean, I love that the windows or doors or whatever for those are nice and small, so that it's not, obtrusive. But boy, oh
Yeah.
boy, it can be so hard, especially once you get it like you have it right now, where there's already soil and sand and stuff, and you don't want to mess it up. It's difficult.
Okay, I'm just gonna add a couple, it's always hard to know when to stop a lot of times, but it's just fun to just kind of play around. You could even just add a blob of moss, like you
Right.
can like put this all together and then just like, and moss, there's a billion different colors of moss.
Right.
And so this is an opportunity to just add, if you just want a little bit of color or whatever.
That's awesome.
Can you see it okay?
Yep. I have a ridiculous question. So what is the front? Is there a front? Does it matter?
I guess no, that's a really good question. I think I guess I always see the front as where the door is, but
Do you?
I
don't
guess
think of that as like the hideaway back door.
maybe that's the back. Maybe
Yes.
that's the back. Maybe I've been doing it wrong the whole time. I don't know. Yeah, because I mean, you can spin it. You can spin it around. So.
Right. I mean, I feel like that to me gives the illusion of the terrarium that is like, this whole little living organism kind of caught in this piece of glass and looking gorgeous, and you know what I mean. And then the trick is the door in the back that you can't.
That's awesome.
You know I have this whole backstory going.
That's awesome. I've literally done this class, I don't know how many times in person over several years, and no one has brought that up before. So I'm so happy that you just did it.
Is that right?
It's a little bit like world changing right now for me.
I'm telling you, the funny thing is, because we're often setting up the containers and stuff on tables just so that we can display them, and you have no idea the twisting and turning that I go through trying to decide, like, how do I display this? How do I want people to understand how to use it? And clearly I don't even really totally know how to use it. So so that's good. Okay, if I've shed just another possibility, probably not.
Yeah,
really,
100%. Yeah, I know. But I'm really glad that you said that. That's super awesome. Yeah, I guess this could be the front.
Yeah, there it is.
That could be.
Look how pretty I am. Yay. I like it.
Just really quick, and then we can take some questions if anyone has any. But in terms of maintenance, like we were saying, you'll want to spritz them. The open air ones probably like every 5 days or so.
Okay.
And give it a good spritz. So it's like you want to be sure. The thing is with one of the good things about the terrariums is a lot of times you can see if there is any standing water, or if there,
Right.
you know, if you can see the soil, you can see if the soil is moist or whatnot. And so you'll be able to sort of monitor it easier because
Okay.
you have that clear side.
Right.
But yeah, probably around every 4 or 5 days, give it a spritz.
Okay.
And then you can do, every once in a while, you can do just like a simple, super diluted indoor plant food
Oh,
if
good.
you feel like it needs to get some nutrients. So either the Schultz is really good, or this is an organic
Okay.
indoor plant food.
Right.
And you can just mix it in your spray bottle and spray them with that. And then to your point about that, you know, the plants will still grow.
Right.
So you'll just have to sort of trim as needed, and sometimes you'll have to take out a plant or
Yeah.
whatever.
I was gonna say I've had to replace a couple over time, just that clearly had gotten too leggy or gotten too big or were taking over or had decided that they just were not for the terrarium life after all. So
Yeah.
it happens.
And that does get hard too if there's a small opening, because it's
Right.
kind of hard to trim the plants and
Right.
whatever. So that gets tricky, but not impossible.
It's a reason to go start a new terrarium, maybe, possibly.
There. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. It's your terrarium telling you that it's time to update. Um,
Definitely.
do we have any questions? I feel like I've answered the few that I saw posted here. If
Oh,
anybody
good.
has anything else that I'm missing, please feel free to raise your hand, put something in the Q&A, throw something in the chat.
Yeah, and you can also, if you are making, you know, if you make this at a later date, feel free to email me if you have any questions as you sort of go through your process.
Right.
But a lot of it, you'll just kind of, I feel like you'll just get a sense of it as you're diving in, sort of the different stuff. And you
Right.
know, sometimes sand will get in the plants, and that just happens. And I've used what are those, like computer spray, like the
Oh,
dust spray.
the air.
Yeah,
Yes.
I've used that to get the sand out, or I've used, like, picked it out with, you know, it's like stuff
Right.
like that. You'll just kind of like find as you do it, just
Right.
little tricks, I
Yeah.
guess.
So what about like sun and light, and is it all
Oh,
just based on what kind of plant is inside that you know, or is there something specific for all around terrariums?
I would actually say, in as like across the board, probably bright indirect light is best, because you have to imagine, I mean, this is going through this, whatever sun is going through the glass, it's like a magnifying glass.
Right.
And so you can really fry the plants if it's, you know, if it's a lot of sun.
Right.
So I would say bright indirect light would be best for everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, good. I think that, let me see, let me try one other place just to make sure that I haven't missed anything.
Oh,
I think we're good.
good. I want to see everybody's terrariums. You have to send me your pictures.
Yeah, definitely. You guys
Hmm.
post some pictures and tag Sloat
Hmm.
Garden Center on any pictures that you take so that we can see them and add them to our collection as well. Anything else,
Absolutely.
Jen?
No, thank you. I'm glad we made it through it. I didn't
You
have a
did.
coughing issue.
You did not have a coughing attack. Good job. So
Thank you.
today is Wednesday, so that means it'll be on the website
Friday.
Friday. Okay.
Yeah.
So this will be posted
And
on Friday. If you missed anything, you guys can go on and rewatch it and catch anything. And then, like Jen said, she can be emailed at Jen
Jen
Strobel.
Strobel at
Yeah,
sloatgardens.com.
right. Okay.
Yeah. And the outline and supply list will be underneath on our website when the
Right.
recording's up. And if you sign up for our YouTube, you'll get a notification when it's up on the YouTube as well. So
All right. Perfect. Thank you,
Yay.
everybody, for joining us today. Again, we've got a few really cool webinars coming up next month. That means we're not going to see you again before the holidays.
I
So
know.
Merry Christmas and Happy New
Happy
Year.
holidays.
Yeah, to everybody, have a happy holiday. If you have any questions, give us a holler. Otherwise, we will see you soon. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for all the really cool comments, because we got a lot of really neat comments, Jen. I know you're
Oh,
actually
good.
working and I'm just sitting here playing, but we got some really cool ones. So we really appreciate you guys, and we're excited to do the webinars as well. So I'm really glad that all of Jen's hard work has you guys appreciated on your end. So that's always really cool. Yeah.
Thank you,
So,
Shannon. Super
absolutely.
fun.
Yes, as always. All right, everybody. You guys take care. We'll see you soon.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.